Thank you. Thanks so much. I want to say too that I'm friends with Lisa on Facebook, and earlier this week I saw a status roll in my newsfeed that said, HMMM ellipses guava question mark. And so I want to thank the readers who were writing specifically for guava, because I know it was kind of challenging, or is like not the easiest word, but that's also one of the more interesting and magical parts of the process too, is not getting to choose. So, and I also wanted to just say that in the programs, I'm not reading everyone's bios that tells a whole lot of information about them, but their full bios of all the readers are in your programs, so you can check out more info on them.
Okay.
So our next reader so Jenna was actually the first guest contributor on the dictionary project on the site, and Julie Lauterbach Colby was the second. So, and her current word, she also wrote for guava, and her current favorite word is espuma, which means sea foam or spray in Spanish.
So let's
This is water.
No, Mike. Yeah.
Is that better? Is that okay?
We can hear you, but
Oh, okay. So everybody speak into them, like close into the mic, please.
You okay hearing it?
Perfect. Okay, good. So I feel like a bit of a failure, actually, because I got as close as mango.
mango's good.
Mango's
Totally,
good.
it's close.
But I wanted to thank Lisa because it really was a challenge not choosing a word, and the girl's been doing it for 2.5 years, so it's pretty amazing. And I also wanted to thank you because it got Guatemala back into my writing. So this is a project that I've been working on. It's a hybrid piece having to do taking the original U.S. military's GPS manual and overlaying it with excerpts from the Dictionary of Imaginary Places. So I hope it'll work a little bit. And so the overall title, this one has to do with Alice in Wonderland and Alice Through the Looking Glass as the imaginary place. And it's called The GPS Considers the Doomed and the Lost. All maps begin with some form of survey. What Alice saw through the looking glass that morning was just an extended view of the room where she sat. A long drawing room with a chair, very much like the one she was in a moment ago, with a little door at the very back. And beyond that door, you can just see a little peep of the passage in Looking Glass House. If you leave the door wide open, you know it will be quite different beyond. After area position, the line may blink gray and black. Data may be inaccurate and or unavailable. Select form navigation. Approach the glide path waypoint. There's a theory of operation, and there's a notion that navigation throughout a fixed area is reliant on both space and time. The key is precision, how to articulate your exact three-dimensional location based on current position, ground speed, and time. I like to think of what brought Alice to the looking glass in the first place. Moments before she awoke to discover her kitten had unwound her tightly woven ball of string. The kitten was only feeling playful, but something about that loose string resonated with Alice. Something about seeing her morning's work just lying there, a mess. Due to type of structural integrity, the brake is caught on something and keeps moving to the user. Do not reverse polarity. Do not force memory by checking the date on the page. The memory is not important, but still needs external information. If using our memory, always reinstall. I was not myself, she told me recently, and I must take her at her word. I don't really know what happened. She made a gesture with her hands, starting together and then slowly. Drifted, I said. Yes, apart. And so there is the choice, to remain or to step through. I don't know why, but Alice is dancing to the beat of that bossy pants bird, the one who commands his own awash circle of animals in the midst of Alice's puddle of tears. Big Alice tears, the ones little Alice would have drowned in, had it not been for the edge of land and that bossy pants dodo bird. Surveyors start with a handful of locations in known positions and use them to locate other features. As space-based surveying came into use, a standardized datum based on the center of the Earth was developed. Travelers can reach Looking Glass Land by climbing up onto the mantelpiece and walking through, which will cause the glass to melt away like a bright silvery mist. Every map that shows a geographic coordinate system, such as UTM or latitude and longitude, with any precision will also list the datum used on the map. Our present-day Alices would know that to go through the looking glass would be to give up all hope for such precision, to give up the certainty of knowing oneself. The Global Positioning System uses an Earth-centered datum called the World Geodetic System 1984, or WGS-84. WGS-84 was adopted as a world standard from a datum called the North American Datum of 1983. Do not be alarmed, Alice, when you go into Looking Glass Land and suddenly find the landscape shifting around you. Go faster, faster, says the Queen, and when you are out of breath, you may stop to find yourself in the exact same spot as you were when you began running. The exact same spot, although you now know yourself to have changed. In our country, you'll say, still panting a little, you generally get to somewhere else. But here, answers the Queen, now here, you say, it takes all the running you can do just to keep in the same place. Alice is on a train, I am on a bus. There is a woman sitting next to me. She holds a plastic bag in her hand and looks over. Do you want some? She asks in Spanish. It is hot, the bus has stopped, road construction ahead, and the traffic backs up for a half mile or so. We just drifted, apart, she had said, here and then over there. Because of their careful choice of words, the inhabitants of Looking Glass Land make a difference between what something is called, what the name of something is called, what the name of something is, and what something is. Inside the bag the woman holds out to me are slices of green mangoes. Verdes, they call them, because they are picked and prepared when still green. To trace your steps back once you realize you are lost is just another way of saying, tell yourself a story, but start as far away from the beginning as possible. We are traveling to Quetzaltenango, Guatemala's second largest city. You know very well, said Tweedledum, you're not real. I am real, said Alice, and began to cry. If I wasn't real, she said, half laughing through her tears, I shouldn't be able to cry. I hope you don't suppose those are real tears, Tweedledum interrupted in a tone of great contempt. Where are we? I asked the woman. She turns to the little girl beside her. The girl uses her finger to draw a map in the air. She pokes an invisible spot to emphasize, here. Then she winds her finger through an invisible countryside until she pokes a spot further on, there. Looking Glass Land is the tangible proof of Zeno's refutation of space. Normally, in order to reach point A from point B, point C must be crossed first. In order to reach point C, point D B must be reached, and so on. To avoid this impossible progression, Looking Glass Land visitors proceed from one point to another without the unnecessary and infinite bother of covering immediate space. One simply decides and goes. Names must have meaning. It is not enough to be called just Alice if the word does not signify a characteristic of the person. You would do well to choose a meaningful name before journeying into such a country. By the time I leave this country, I will have traveled the same road 4 more times. It will be the same route every time. Point A will lead to point B, will lead to point C, and so on. No one knows that this beautiful city is the model for that beautiful city. The key is precision, how to articulate your exact position based on current location, ground speed, and time. And Alice began to remember that she was a pawn and that it would be soon time for her to move.